The Flat Earth by Maureen Wanket. At Stacy Loyola's house, the weekend before Christmas of 9th grade, Maddie lost at Spoons. Spoons was a late-night card game, a vicious cross between musical chairs and gin rummy. Losing was like getting a note with a single black dot on it from a band of pirates. The three other girls were harpies, with the bodies of women, faces of angels, voices of shrieking birds. Their names were, in order of dominance, Stacy, Asia, Kim. Maddie glanced up from her cards, and all the spoons were gone. The other girls' glossed lips pinched in the middle like shiny bows. They invented punishments. The dare for the loser. She can take off her clothes and run naked to the stop sign, Stacy said. Asia said getting naked was nasty. Nobody will see, Stacy said. It's dark out. The girls tightened the coil in the kitchen of Stacy's house under broad panels of fluorescent lights, Coca-Cola sweet on their breaths. They were hungry for a denouement. They had to be some consequence for the crime of losing, for being a loser. They held their own spoons in their fists. The run itself down the cold suburban block wouldn't be the hard part. Maddie thought she might never stop, barefoot and free through the neighborhood like a phantom. It will be easy, Stacy said, her voice as recent as a teacher's. But Maddie's only remaining power was in the word no. She could pee in your backyard while we put a flashlight on her, Kim said. That's nasty too, Asia. What if Stacy's mom finds out? Asia always hated getting in trouble. But Maddie thought that trouble from someone's parents would at least make sense. At the mercy of girls, anything could happen. It's not as good, but okay, I'll take it, Stacy said. I don't have to pee, Maddie said. Stacy started filling a glass with water. Drink. Drink a lot. Then it will be easy. She said it like she was helping her, like she was being a good friend. Then she handed the glass over because what she ordered was always done. I'll eat a raw egg, Maddie said. She emptied the water into the sink. That will be gross. I can do it, though. Oh, come on, Stacy said. Just pee in the bushes. Do it or we'll dump you, Kim said. Stacy frowned. She was the only one who decided who would and would not be dumped. She pulled open the refrigerator door, got an egg, and broke it into the water glass. Maddie held her breath, but the egg wriggled in her mouth like a living thing. Her throat wouldn't take it. She spit it back out into the glass, and despite holding her breath, the smell was too much. She poured the egg on her own head. It dripped cold down her shoulder blades into her nightshirt. You stink, Stacy said. She went into the other room, and the other girls trailed her like ribbons. I won't wash it off, Maddie said after them. That will be my penalty. But nobody paid attention. She went to the bathroom and wiped the back of her neck and her ears. Stacy's older brother, Josh, snored in his bed, the soft sound carrying from across the hall. When she returned to the family room, the girls lay on top of her sleeping bag. She curled into a ball in a cold leather recliner. Maddie got into her mother's car when she came to pick her up. What's that in your hair? Her mother asked. Egg. Well, you're going to need to take a shower. You stink. That was the moment that Maddie stopped listening to her mother. In spring, it was a different story. Maddie huddled with Stacy and Asia in the courtyard where the 9th graders ate. Their breath commingled and made humidity in their own private climate. Kim shakes her booty in front of all the guys, Asia said. She does it on purpose, Stacy said. She doesn't care if you're talking to a guy. Kim's all, hi boys. It's so annoying. Kim is such a slut. Maddie added a squeeze of the bellows on the flame she started in the earliest months of January. Her own secret smoldered in her belly. It was an ember she swallowed at Stacy's New Year's Eve after party. It still nestled there in early April. It was slow growing. In Stacy's bedroom, the girls lay in a sleeping bag star, their heads joined in the center like a nucleus in the middle of prongs of girls. Maddie remembered the advice that her mother gave her back when nobody liked her. She said, "Be yourself. Play along if they tease you. They don't mean to hurt you. None of this was true. Maddie used to wonder if her mother was a liar or just ignorant. Stacy, Asia, Maddie. Kim was never invited anymore. Yet, Kim was more present in Stacy's bedroom than if she were there in the flesh. They tore apart her drugstore perfume, her skinny legs, her bouncy, overly wavy blonde hair. In the same breath, they nailed her for dressing like a guy, for being too good at sports, for probably being a secret lesbian. We are being evil, Maddie said. I know, right? Stacy said. They rested and picked at the carpet between their long, freshly painted fingernails. They'd been talking for hours. Kim lay invisible between the three of them in a pile of gnawed bones. Stacy sighed and stretched her arms. Maddie thought she looked bored and dangerous. Let's do something. It's almost 11, Maddie said, crawling out. I'm tired, Asia said. As long as we get home before Josh does, Stacy said. He's supposed to be home by midnight, but it's usually more like 1. Josh, the fastest swimmer on their team, could cut across the lane with 4 strokes of his long brown arms. Maddie couldn't even look at him in public. She might give herself away. Who is he with? Asia asked. You don't have a chance with him, Nimrod, Stacy said. I was just asking, okay? I don't like him. Why not? Is he not good enough for you? Maddie knew how it felt to be caught between Stacy's clashing rocks. Maddie pulled her jeans on under her nightgown, one big enough to fit her, and pushed her feet into shoes. Asia poked around her clothes, yawning and acting tired. Let's dump her, Maddie said, and that made Asia hurry. They made a line on tiptoes down the thick carpeted hallway that let them past Stacy's mom's bedroom door undetected. They were as insubstantial as shadows. Once outside, they ran to the swim park and hurled themselves against the fence around the pool. Without Kim and her runner's legs, there was no clear winners of the race. Barbed wire coiled on top. The pool rested black and quiet beyond the lights. Come on, Asia whined. I'm cold. Pussy, Maddie said with a bursting meanness. Even Stacy gasped at the hard word before she laughed. Run, Maddie said. She followed her own order into the park of freshly watered grass dotted by skinny trees. The park was the only good thing about their entire neighborhood. Hide, Maddie yelled, slipping behind a tree. Guys? Asia called out. Guys? She wheezed for a breath. Asia and her stupid asthma. Stacy's form thickened the silhouette of a white aspen. Asia stepped between them as the night wind rattled the leaves, exposing their silvery undersides. Maddie ran past Asia and knocked her down. Stacy hooted after, and the two of them darted between the trees like creatures in an ancient and uncivilized place. The suburban subdivision didn't exist, and they ran through a forest in the time before the town was built to be all reaching tentacles with no heart and no center. They ran back into the fence, and it rang with the impact. I'm still a better runner, Stacy said. You'll never beat me at swim trials either. I might, Maddie said. She stuck the toes of one foot into a narrow metal square of the chain link. No, Stacy said, grabbing the back of her shirt. Don't be such a baby. Maddie scaled the fence. The metal dug in her palms and feet. She wedged her body along the bar at the top and pushed the wire up as far enough to create a space for them to crawl under. The metal spikes pressed into her arm. Gross, Stacy said. You're bleeding. Asia emerged from the park. I can't believe you left me, she said, choking on a sob. Maddie pushed through the barbed wire and climbed down the other side. She looked at the other 2 girls through the chain link. Stacy's hands rested on her hips. Asia was weeping. Stacy took longer than Maddie to get over. The mechanisms of the pool pumps hummed from the machine room. Asia would not climb. You're going to get in so much trouble. Stacy jumped to the deck and took Maddie's hand. The pool was so blinding and sparkling in the daytime. It lay dark and bottomless in the night. The still water reflected the night sky, the lack of moon, the dim stars. They shed their jeans and nightgowns and slid in without a splash. Maddie sank underwater and closed her eyes in the cool roar. She felt Stacy's touch on her shoulder. She opened her eyes to see the shadow of a girl reaching out, her hair floating around her face like seagrass. They pressed fingertips to fingertips, weightless and strong, hungry as monsters, waiting beneath the surface for ships. They jogged back to Stacy's house in silence. They snuck upstairs, shed their wet clothes, and snuggled deep into their sleeping bags. Maddie and Stacy whispered together through the chattering teeth. Asia didn't speak. She turned her back. Maddie drifted off to sleep after she was sure Stacy did. She was high in the aftermath of the run in the trees, the underwater swim, the way they ran together and swam together like magic ghosts. Now they lay together like sisters. She curled over her belly and felt the flickering of a fishtail in there. The little thing inside her whispered in a voice only she could hear. "Don't trust this. This changes nothing." She clung to its warning to keep from sinking. In the morning, Miss Loyola got them donuts in a pink box. Maddie's mother came to the door. She lingered in the kitchen, talking to Stacy's mother. "We just love having Maddie," Miss Loyola said. "She's a wonderful girl." Stacy's mother wore matching and pressed lavender pants and blouse. Her flashing gold earrings offset her coiffed shoe-black hair. Maddie's mother's face was as wide and as white as a plate. She had dark curling hair like pubic hairs on her feet, in their flat brown leather sandals and bare, horny toenails. The other girls paid the mines no attention, but Maddie suddenly couldn't stop staring at them. Maybe it was destiny that she would end up earnest and blind as her own mother. All Maddie's mother cared about were books and writing poetry, and she never matched her outfit or styled her hair. Miss Loyola probably talked to the other moms about her behind her back. Maddie could just imagine what those women said about her mother's clothes. Her hippie lady long gray hair, her awful feet. She wanted to leave so badly she felt nauseated. Maddie pretended to go to the bathroom. At the top of the stairs, she waited a second. Across the hall, Josh slept in his bedroom. The door was open. He lay across his bed on his stomach. His hair was sticking up. He looked very young, like a little boy. She tickled him under the neck to wake him up. "What are you doing here?" he asked. His voice was creaky as the unsteady octaves of the boys in her own grade. It would be so warm to crawl in with him and just hug under the blankets. "I came to see you." "Well, you've seen me, now go." He folded his pillow over his head. "I have to talk to you." He waved her away. "I'm pregnant." Josh sat up. He was the most handsome guy she ever knew. She wished for the time back when they were just flirting, when she was just his sister's cute, almost friend. "How do you know?" "Blue line means yes." "Didn't you fuck Victor too?" he asked. "It could be his." "That's just a rumor," Maddie said. It was just head, but she didn't want to talk about it with Josh. "Well, it's not mine. We just did it one time. I thought you fucked Victor that same night." "It's just a rumor," she said again and left the room. She didn't want to hear whatever he was going to say next. In the hall, Stacy blocked the top of the stairway. "What are you doing, Maddie?" "Going to the bathroom." "What took you so long?" Red nervousness creeped up Maddie's neck, a blush that would reveal everything. "I'm on my period, okay?" she said. She picked up her overnight stuff and told her mother she wanted to go home, leaving, as always, her only power. "Did you have fun?" her mother asked when they got in the car. "Mrs. Loyola is such a charming woman." "It was okay," Maddie said, looking out the window. In the daylight, the medieval forest disappeared. There was only the pastel stucco subdivision maze with all the houses the same. The olive trees in the front yards waved at passing cars like gnarled old men in their squares of bare earth in the middle of all the tired-looking lawns. They passed the park and the pool with its now bent barbed wire barrier. She rubbed her pocked forearms as they drove up the hill to their house. They had the same floor plan as Stacy's house, though inside it was a totally different kind of place. "I told you if you were patient, those girls would be your friends." My mother talked like the moon. Waxing, waning, not giving off heat. "You did say that. Patience is always the trick." Maddie went to her own room. Her room was in the same part of the house as Stacy's room, in their parallel worlds. Patience was never the trick. Survival at school was like body surfing on a big wave day. Maddie paid attention to when Stacy's voice hardened and curled. She knew how to survive an undertow. In the school courtyard, Maddie put her forehead in with Stacy's and Asia's, and they were a new kind of girl, a three-headed Scylla exhaling the fumes of peppermint gum and strawberry lip gloss. Kim wants Victor, Stacy said. My boyfriend, okay? She won't get him, Asia. I know, Stacy. I mean, look at her and look at you, Maddie. Kim sat alone under a laurel tree growing out of one of the concrete planters. The story Maddie had told about her rested on Kim's shoulders like a strange mantle that the other kids could smell if they got too close. Maddie's story was that Kim had given head to Victor's friends in the closet at Stacy's party on New Year's Eve. She wanted Victor to go next, knowing full well that he was going with Stacy in Stacy's own house. The story held Kim in contempt and made Victor a hero while underscoring his desirability. It was a narrative powerful enough to lift Maddie from what seemed like unsalvageable depths. She saw the whole thing, she said. And just like that, Kim was lost. Asia's eyes darted between them. She was always alert. Maddie thought she was right to be scared. January was a long time ago and people needed a new story soon. Asia was the one most likely to be next. Maddie peered at Kim from inside the group of three. She sat in the shade pretending to read. A hint of hot ozone summer hung in the air. Maddie couldn't imagine it. The future at the end of the school year lay in the colorless void at the end of a flat earth. She turned into the circle of three and rode wildly on top of the awful wave of girl hate, hoping it would bring her to a safer shore. During the last class of the day, Maddie asked to go to the bathroom. When she stood, the ground sank beneath her, and she stumbled into the row of desks. Kim, the teacher said, go with Maddie. In the stall, Maddie bent over and held her forehead in her hands. Blood dripped from inside of her body in dark, viscous stalactites that stretched toward the water in the toilet before breaking free. Her underwear was heavy with bits of velvety tissue. I know about you and Victor, Kim's voice echoed against the tiles. In the closet at Stacy's party. I saw you guys coming out of it together. It was you all along. Maddie balled up pieces of toilet paper to try to wipe against the torrent. I know about you and Josh Loyola, too. About what you did with him that same night. I need a pad, Maddie said. The machine against the wall rattled. Kim's hand appeared under the stall, holding a sanitary napkin wrapped in plastic. Josh and my brother are friends. I think he's the only one who knows about you guys. So far. Maddie didn't want to flush. It seemed wrong. You don't get it, Kim said, as Maddie flushed anyway. People will find out the truth sooner or later. All you have to do is wait. You just have to be patient. Maddie lurched out of the stall. A cramp folded her insides, then pulled them back apart. She could barely breathe. Patient? You know, I thought the worst thing in the world was to be alone. I would have done anything to be Stacy Loyola's friend. I was really awful to you. I treated you like you weren't even a person. Now it's like I'm invisible. Like I'm a ghost in my own school. Maddie splashed water on her eyelids. She rested her face against the porcelain of the sink with her lips pressed into the cold edge. I'm dying, she said. Kim handed her a paper towel. I'm already dead, she said. You'll get used to it. They waited together in the office for Maddie's mother. Maddie was a growing storm, a flash flood. The horrible twisting of her insides was the lightning, and the gushing that followed was the thunder. She willed her mother to hurry. She would bleed to death in the front office. She would bleed through the pad, her underwear, and her pants. She would soil the chair, and everyone would know what she was. The funny thing is, after a while, I started to like being invisible better, Kim said. Anyone watching and listening would have thought they were friends. Stacy is a really bad friend. I'm glad to be free. Maddie's mother arrived. The tiny mirrors sewn into her skirt twinkled in the sunlight. Who was that girl? She asked in the car. It was nice of her to look after you. I told you that if you would just be yourself, that you would make friends. Everyone hates her, Maddie said. I'm sure that isn't true. She turned on the classical music on the radio. Maddie slipped into invisible waters and bled. Maddie lay in bed for 3 days and pretended to have the flu. She rolled her soaked pads into tight stones. She stored them under her bed in plastic grocery bags until her parents left for work so she could stuff them between the kitchen garbage and the cans outside. She slept in the afternoons and dreamed of swimming. She dreamed that she was a jellyfish in the sea, turning inside out with every stroke, bloodless and pure and glowing in the dark. On the 4th day, Kim called. "Are you ever coming back to school?" "Maybe." "Are you okay?" "I don't know." The silence rippled between them along the whisper of the open line. "I called to explain why I never told anyone about what you did with Victor and Josh, even while you were spreading rumors about me." Kim coughed a little. "I kept your secret because in the middle of losing my friends, I got this idea that I'm a good person. It's the only thing that kept me from drowning." "If I were you, I would have told," Maddie said. "I would have defended myself." "It wouldn't have made any difference," Kim said. "Nobody would have believed that guys would go in the closet with you." "Why, because I'm so ugly?" Maddie asked, seriously interested in the answer. Was she ugly or pretty? She had no idea. In her own mind, she was transparent as the jellyfish in her dream. "You're not ugly, don't be stupid." But Stacy made it so it was like you had cooties. All the guys would have denied they mess around with you because they wouldn't want to piss Stacy off. "I get it," Maddie said. And she did. "But you should say you're sorry to me anyway," Kim said. "It will make you feel better." Maddie put the phone down gently, so the hanging up would not hurt Kim's ears. On the first day back at school, the courtyard looked different from the middle of the concrete planter under the laurel tree. She clutched a paper triangle in her hand and the points dug into her palm. Stacy strolled over by herself. "My brother talked to me about you," she said. "He said you were a slut." Maddie looked down at the tines of baby grass poking out of the dirt. She plucked one out by the root. Maddie never noticed before how young Stacy sounded. She was perpetually talking and tattling. "Josh also said if you were pregnant, it would be impossible to know who the father is because you slept with so many guys." "I'm not pregnant," Maddie said, splitting the blade of grass in two. "I trust my brother." "I'm not pregnant." Every time she said it out loud, she felt the billowing of sails and a sense of lightness that made her want to laugh for no reason. "Are you a virgin?" Stacy asked. "Tell Josh for me," Maddie said, thinking of the sleeping boy in his musky, messy bed. "I'm not pregnant." Stacy leaned forward, her eyes narrow and flecked with green. "You stay away from my brother or you're dead." Stacy returned to her regular spot on top of a picnic table next to Asia. They perched there, heads together, their laughter carrying over. "I'm already dead," Maddie said. But it didn't ring true. Her thumb pressed on the hard triangle of folded binder paper, a note she'd written to Kim in English class. It was one word. It was what Kim had told her to say on the phone. It was what Maddie should have said. While she waited, Maddie thought about another word. Friend. It slipped in her silent mouth while her tongue tried to catch it. She waited for Kim to come out of the building to find Maddie at her place under the tree. She wouldn't know until she saw Kim whether or not she had the courage to pass the note. Until she saw Kim, she wouldn't know if she would fall off the end of the flat earth or if she would sail.